I had no idea what the universe was trying to tell me. Either I could go and have dinner with my friends, or I could take a nap. And I really wanted to take that nap, because I was at this pretty large conference with about 1,000 people, and it was the 5th day of this week-long conference, and I've had my fair share of deep and meaningful conversations. That's kind of what I love to seek out, that's what I love to help people do, and it was the 5th day, and we're all standing outside of the big theater, and it was the last speaker had spoken, so people were starting to make plans for dinner. And because I've been going for 4 years at that time, this was not only, I didn't only go to that conference to meet new people and make new connections, I also was there because it was a big reunion of the people that I had met the previous years. And this was pretty much the only time of the year, the only week that we get to hang out in person. So when the first old friend, asked me, hey, do you want to join us for dinner? And I was thinking, oh, I really want to take a nap, but let me get back to you, like check in with me before you leave. And I kind of was walking around, said hello to some other people, and then they were like, hey, Jan, do you want to join us for dinner? We're going to this place. And I went, check in with me before you leave. I can't make a decision right now yet. Maybe I'm going with some other people, but if you're still here, I will join you. And that happened maybe 3-4 more times, that people started inviting me for dinner, and I just couldn't make a decision. And in a way, in that moment, neither decision was going to be a good one. If I decide to go for dinner with one of my friends, I would be kind of resenting myself for not listening to my body and actually taking that nap, because I was really tired. Oftentimes, or right after the last session had ended, I was walking around, I was pretty much like a zombie, I was sleepwalking. I was just having interactions, but I didn't really pay attention. I couldn't really be present with people, so I'm like, I should be taking a nap. I can't do more connections tonight. So I'm like, taking a nap seems logically the best solution to take. But if I take a nap, my friends will be so upset with me because this is the only time of the year that we see each other, and why can't I, the one person who's all about making meaningful connections, connect with me? That's at least what I was thinking in my head. And it was about maybe 15-20 minutes that I had kind of walked around, talked to different people, made some new connections, and I looked around and I scanned that 1,000-people crowd that now turned into maybe 30 people, and I could not find a single person that I knew. Everybody had left and gone to dinner, and I was still standing there. And I felt really alone in that moment, because they didn't check in with me. Like I felt lonely, but at the same time I got really upset at all these friends that I told, please check in with me, and none of them did. And then I almost got a little bit upset at myself too, for why didn't you just pick one of the people to go for dinner with? At least you could eat something, and maybe that gets your energy back up. But there I was standing by myself, and everybody had left. And through this amazing process that is VoiceStory, I asked myself, okay, this feeling that I had that moment, where has that shown up in my life before? And oftentimes we go back to our childhood, and there's this interesting memory that came up, and I had no idea how it is connected when I first explored it. But when I was in high school, I, of course, wanted to be liked, and I wanted to be part of the popular kids. I wanted to be one of the people that everybody looks up to. And there was one person in particular, that was in my class, and he was really good looking, he got all the girls, and maybe that was one of the reasons why I wanted to be his friend or kind of be close to him, because he can only, like, there's only so many girls he can have. There must be some left over at the end, right? So when he asked to come over to my place and hang out, I was like, yay, this might be the big chance to start this friendship with him. And he came over to my parents' house, and we chatted, and he actually asked me these really deep questions, and he asked me about who my favorite athletes were, which was Pete Sampras. I was a big tennis player. And he asked me who was my idol growing up, and it actually was not a big famous celebrity. It was this person who ran my summer camp. And he asked me all these interesting questions, and then when he left, I felt kind of really good. I'm like, okay, good, we connected. But then I went to check my laptop, and I logged into my email account, and I saw this one email sitting in the outbox that wasn't sent. I'm like, I didn't send any email. So when I opened it, it was an email from my email account to another friend of his saying, hey, guess what? I just hacked Jan's email account because I asked him all the security questions and he just gave them to me. Yeah, and I didn't bring my water. That moment, I felt betrayed. I thought that he came over to become friends. I had big hopes, and it kind of all got shattered. And I wasn't really sure what I should do. My first thought was, well, I should tell my parents, I should tell the teachers, like he has to be punished, there has to be something that has to be done, like this is not what a good person does. And I would consider myself as a good person then, still do. But if I did tell on him and be a snitch, that friendship would never happen. And there was this little part that was still telling myself, maybe this was just one of those pranks you do with your friends. Maybe this was actually him doing something that friends do with each other. So instead of saying anything, I said nothing and kind of not even talked about it. I don't think I've even told my parents about the whole issue. I just changed my password. Before that email actually was sent, I didn't even talk to him about it. And at that point in high school, I was already a pretty shy kid, but it just made me really get out of the spotlight. I didn't want to be the center of attention. I didn't want to draw any attention to myself, because if I decided, hey, I'm going to be your friend, now I'm making a decision and I'm friends with someone that I actually don't think is a good person. But if I decided to tell on him, then I also would not have this potential friendship still there. So kind of similar to when I was at that conference, I decided to not make any decisions. And the worst case was that at that conference, not making a decision was also making a decision. And that decision was that I'm not going for dinner and I'm not taking a nap, and I'm still gonna beat myself up for not making a decision. So first choice, not good. Second choice, not good. Not making a choice, also not good. So when I was walking around, I literally was like, universe, please give me a sign. Just tell me what to do. Just tell me what to do. I just wanted someone to go and say, I'll just go to this dinner, and I would go, okay, that's the one. So as I was walking kind of away from the venue, I said, okay, let's tune in, let's be present, let's use my intuition. Let's just see what are the signs around. Do I see anything that is written anywhere? Do I hear anything? Is there any feelings present? And I saw one person who was, who I knew that they also were going to go for dinner. They invited me earlier, so I ran up to them, I caught up with them and said, hey, can I still join you for dinner? And they said, yes, of course. Where are you going? But we don't, so they ended up going with a car and they didn't have space in the car. So I'm like, okay, signed, universe, thank you, I'm supposed to take a nap. Continue walking towards my hostel. And I see one of those city bikes that you can rent, and there was just one left. I'm like, perfect. It's that one bike that I will take. This is a sign again, I should be going and biking home. Try to get the bike unlocked, doesn't work. It's broken. Like, okay, what are you trying to tell me? Like, I thought this was my ride home, now I'm supposed to stay here, but nobody's here. Like, look, everybody left. And then I spotted one more person that I had a very brief conversation with, and we started chatting. I'm like, hey, are you going for dinner? Yes, okay, cool. But I'm waiting for another friend, so I decided to wait with him for half an hour. And once that friend finally arrived, we walked to the restaurant, no tables available. Okay, I guess I'm taking a nap. Okay, what's the next place that you're going to? Okay, it's on the way, I'll join you to go there. And the next place that we go to, no table available. And at this time I look at my map, I'm like, okay, I'm 5 minutes away from my bed. I'm gonna go home. And as soon as I entered the door, I felt this really liberating feeling of I think I finally made a choice if I want it or not. It took me 2 hours to get here, but this actually feels really good. And the interesting thing that happened that night is that I was not the only one who felt the same way. Actually, 2 of my other roommates also felt that they didn't want to hang out with big groups of people. They also needed to recharge at the end of the day. And being an introvert, I really needed that after being out and talking and meeting people all day. And we had maybe the most magical moment that evening, because one of them is a musician, and she brought out her guitar, and she sang this really emotional song that made all of us tear up. And I think those 3 people, we were meant to be at that place. It just took me so long to get there. And what I learned with this story about vulnerability is, for me, vulnerability in that moment was I had to be honest with how I felt. And I was tired, and I should have just spoken up and then give people the opportunity to either say, oh, I don't think we'll connect, or go, me too, I also need to take a break. And those are the people that I was meant to be connecting with. So sometimes when you don't take a choice, when you don't choose one of the paths, you're kind of robbing other people to see the real you. But if you choose the one that actually is aligned with your true intentions, with your authentic self, then you're giving other people the opportunity to really connect with you.